was awesome. Thank you for tuning in.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Low News. Thank you guys for joining me. And as always, we love to interview dope people in the South Florida community doing dope things. And today is no different. I'm so excited to have my guests on today. They're doing some really important work, some really great advocacy work around homelessness. And we know that is a serious problem here in Miami-Dade County and in South Florida in general. And the Homeless Trust is one of the organizations that has been taking that head on and solving that. And this individual today works with that organization, but also does a lot of things in the community to make sure that people don't experience homelessness. Without further ado, I would love to introduce my very special guest, Mr. Bo Hall. Woo, woo, woo.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey,
Thank you for having me.
of course. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You know,
Just want to say on behalf of, Miami Beach, my hometown, on behalf of Miami Beach PD and Chief Rick Clements, Deputy Chief Wayne Jones, Assistant Chief Paul Acosta, and my supervisor, Sergeant Jerome Berrien, it's an honor and thank you for having me.
oh man, that makes me feel real special. You the special guest. You making me feel special.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank
Bo,
you.
I want to jump right in and I want you to share with me. I read a little bit about you, but I wanted to know about, share with the audience. Tell us your personal story from going from house to homelessness to holding a unique advocacy position.
Well, I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, single parent. My mother, and from the age of 1 years old, I grew up in South Beach, and I never knew my dad. Don't know my dad. Never met him, and I grew up, didn't have much. Um, we grew up, you know, poor and struggling, and along with that, um, my mother, she went through a lot of trauma throughout her life, um, and growing up, our relationship wasn't so close. So, by the time I was 6, 7 years old, I was already out on the streets,
Wow.
and by the time um, I was 11 years old, I already was smoking marijuana and drinking and hanging out. And from a very early age, my mom, she ended up putting me out on the street by the time I was 14, 15 years old. And she already was in and out of my life. And, you know, I ended up being homeless in my early teens.
Wow. What was that experience like being a teenager and homeless, especially in Dade County? It could be tough.
Well, I mean, back then, we're talking about late 80s, 90s, early 90s. And, it was definitely a scary situation. Um, and at times it was very rough. I grew up fighting, found myself getting in trouble with the law, and find myself, in and out of juvenile, and just trying to survive on the streets, and at the same time still trying to go to school.
Wow.
And that didn't last for long because in my 11th grade year of high school, I ended up dropping out of school, and I was full-fledged homeless on the streets, just doing whatever I could do to get by, to eat, to survive.
Man. Were you going to shelters at that time? Or
No, at that time, there wasn't a city of Miami Beach homeless outreach team.
Mm,
You know, early '90s, there wasn't a Miami Beach Police Department homeless resource unit like who I
mm,
worked for, and there definitely wasn't a Miami-Dade County homeless trust. Um, so back then, it there wasn't no help for homeless individuals uh, on Miami Beach.
wow. Um, that is a amazing story, and what I love to tell people, or share on my platform is like how people, have success or turn things around. What was that like for you? What was that moment where you started to see a turnaround, or what motivated you or inspired you to change your life around?
So the change began around the age of 26 years old when I began attending the Miami Beach Calvary Chapel Church, and at the time it was located on South Beach and Lincoln Road. And it was there that I just started going in on a Sunday morning just to kind of get a little peace of mind, uh, get a little hope in me, a little encouraging words, as well as just to get something to eat and some
Mm,
coffee. And it was right there that I met a couple that, um, showed a lot of love to me and care. And then I became friends with them. And it, that's when they began um, encouraging me, and it took close to 2 years, and I was still out there on the street, still running the streets, and you know doing drugs and drinking, and everything that came with homelessness, sleeping in the beaches, sleeping in the parks, um, and getting in trouble with the law. And the next thing you know, there was one day when a friend of mine passed away. He
mm,
died of an overdose, and that was when I decided that I was going to accept their help. And then they told me about the Miami Rescue Mission,
mm.
which is located in Overtown, and I accepted their help. And in Memorial Weekend of 2001, I entered the Miami Rescue Mission program, and that's when the change began.
Man, that's awesome. And here you are 20 years later. You're working with the City of Miami Police. You're helping other people who are
Miami Beach Police.
Miami Beach Police. You're right. Sorry. You work with the Miami Beach Police, and I think there's something that people don't understand about homelessness. What do you think the most common misconception, or what do you think people misunderstand the most about homelessness?
Well, the common misconception is, folks thinks that when you see a homeless person out there, that they must be homeless behind some kind of addiction,
Mhm,
whether alcohol or drugs, or suffering from mental illness. And even though for the most part the majority of them are, but there's a lot of homeless folks out there who were professionals,
mm,
who are very well educated, who were one check away from becoming homeless,
mm,
and ended up being homeless behind losing a job, ended up being homeless, not being able to afford the rent. And we live in South Florida where the cost of living is high.
yep.
And you've got folks that may have lost a loved one, may have experienced trauma. There's many different kinds of reasons why folks ended up homeless. And it's not just behind drugs and alcohol, mental illness. It's there's a lot of other reasons.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I think that's the thing that some people think it could be, because a lot of Americans live check to check, so that
That's
could
right.
be the reason why.
That's right, and especially as you know now. I mean, in the times we're in now, with the pandemic, you have over 1 million Americans who are without work,
Mm,
who right now don't even have enough food, struggling trying to make it. Um, you know, I don't see it getting any better,
yeah,
and I'm just grateful that as you know, as far as me and the team I work with throughout the pandemic, throughout 2020, we've been out there on the streets of Miami Beach every day, conducting outreach, reaching out to those that are in need. And we've been successful in placing individuals in, uh, quarantine facilities and shelters. And I'm just really grateful that that we've been able to really make a positive impact and a difference, um, all the way up until even till now, as I speak with you.
yeah. That's awesome. Bo, and you're mentioning your position with the Miami Beach Police
Okay.
Department, and it's a unique program that employs you as a civilian. Can you tell me about that job and it being like one of the few in the country? Tell us the significance about that job and how you got it.
You got it. So beginning in, I lived in the Miami Rescue Mission shelter. Like I said, back in 2001, I entered the Miami Rescue Mission broken, beat down, hopeless, um, not caring whether I lived or died.
Mm,
And it was in the Miami Rescue Mission that I received the the number one, the hope, the compassion, the love, and the help I needed through extensive case management. Um, it was in the Miami Rescue Mission I got God in my life, and it was in the Miami Rescue Mission where I was able to get the help, uh, mentally, physically, spiritually, you name it. And I ended up living in the Miami Rescue Mission for 3 years. And within that 3 years, I not only graduated the Miami Rescue Mission's regeneration program, which it's called, but I also decided that I was going to continue living in the mission and go back and obtain my education and then further my education. And I began going to Miami-Dade College, and I ended up graduating as an EMT paramedic in 2000, around the ending of 2003. And shortly after I graduated Miami-Dade, I ended up receiving a visit from someone who I didn't know, but she was from Miami Beach, and she heard about me, and she came and offered me an opportunity to interview for a newly created homeless outreach worker job with the city of Miami Beach government at the time. I ended up going to that interview, and I was hired. And in 2004, I began working as a homeless outreach worker with the city of Miami Beach government. And from 2004 to 2018, when I was brought into the Miami Beach Police Department, and I was presented with the honor and the opportunity of being the only civilian formerly homeless person,
wow.
as well as a state of Florida certified recovering peer specialist and a CIT trained uh, individual. I was offered the position as a homeless liaison specialist,
Wow.
which you can imagine. I was blown away. I was so humbled and honored, and I accepted the position. And so now, ever since 2018 till now, as I speak with you. I am the only civilian employee working with a team of 4 officers, homeless resource officers, and 1 sergeant. And what we do is we conduct homeless outreach, and we help homeless individuals uh, get placed into shelter. We placed over 34 homeless individuals who's severely addicted to drugs and alcohol. We've
Mm.
successfully placed them in a substance and alcohol abuse treatment program through the Marchman Court. We're the only law enforcement agency that I know of in our nation that's doing that. And we collaborate with Thriving Mind Behavioral South Florida, previously known as South Florida Behavior. And we also collaborate with the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust when it comes to obtaining shelter beds as well as housing. And then we work jointly in collaboration with the same homeless department with the city of Miami Beach that I've worked for many years. And, that's what we do. Our motto is providing hope, compassion, love. And that's what me and these 4 officers that I work with and the 1 sergeant, this is what we do, and this is what we are very well known in our city, in my hometown, to do. And you can imagine coming from the life I come from. I come from the
Mhm.
streets. I come from the streets. And I'm just beyond honored still, and I'll forever be honored and grateful to have this opportunity to work with a law enforcement agency and doing what we're doing.
And you know what? I think, everybody feels like certain things in life, why me or why did I have to go through it? But it seems like your life was crafted for what you're doing now. Like your message, your testimony. And it's like the perfect person for this position. It was almost like it was made
Wow.
for you, like that, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it because you probably weren't even thinking during those times
No.
that will help you to be that person. And
No.
also too, thinking about like the national conversation about police and how we spend money and how we spend resources. To me, you're like a living model of
And
what allocating those funds into the right positions would do, because what probably gives those officers the understanding on how to deal with people with homelessness, maybe not to deal with them in a certain way.
and let me tell you this. I'm proud to say that I work, for a law enforcement agency that Miami Beach PD, when it comes to um, providing services to homeless individuals, we've been doing this now well over 7 years, 7 years.
Wow.
And going back to 2004, when I was a homeless outreach worker with the city, even back then we used to collaborate with with the Miami Beach Police Department. We used to do joint outreach missions early mornings, 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning, throughout the day, working together, offering help to homeless. So we've been doing this for close to 2 decades
Wow.
already. Um, so coming now, being a part of the Miami Beach PD Homeless Resource Unit, hey, uh, uh, this law enforcement agency has been doing it for years, and then to now bring this formerly homeless person on with the team, it speaks volumes. And
Yeah, it does.
you know,
Um, Bo, I want to know, what are some ways people can end homelessness? Like, what would you say is important for them that they could do to contribute?
advocate, advocate for those homeless individuals. You know, uh, volunteer. Um, Reach out to your local shelters. See how you can volunteer. See how you can give back. The Homeless Trust. their website. You can go onto their website, and there's many ways how you can get involved with the Homeless Trust. But the main important thing is this. You know, a lot of folks will, reach out in their pockets and give money, you know, and a lot of times they think that's the way of helping. A lot of times that's the way of enabling and keeping them out there, and you're basically supporting their drug or alcohol addiction. The best way is what happened to me, is what that couple did to me, which
Mm.
was showing me love, hope, encouraging me, showing me that hey, we could get you help. All you need to do is come with us. We'll take you there. But see, now, times have changed. Now you can contact a city of Miami Beach, or for Miami-Dade County, you can contact the city of Miami homeless outreach teams, aka the green shirts, and you can let them know that hey, there's John Doe over here in this location every day. Can you please send an outreach team to reach out to them to see about helping them? That's the best way that someone can help someone in need. Contact an outreach team. Contact the city of Miami, outreach program, the green shirts, if they're in Miami-Dade County other than Miami Beach. If they're in the city of Miami Beach only, you can contact the city of Miami Beach homeless services, or you can contact us, the Miami Beach Police Department's homeless resource unit. And that's the best way that someone can help someone who's homeless out there, because not only do the team I work with, we don't just offer help individuals with shelter or treatment, but we also have a partnership with the Camilla's House, with the PATH program. And this is a team of mental health clinicians and a nurse that once a week will join us, and we will go throughout the streets of Miami Beach looking for those individuals who's struggling or suffering with severe mental illness.
How hard is it to get those people off the street?
Well,
Do you have any success stories that you could tell us about?
we have quite a few. We have quite a few success stories. I mean, without naming any names, I mean,
Yeah.
there's been women, men that it took us years with
Wow.
constant engagement, constant, um, you know, the officers doing Baker acts, taking them to, um, you know, Mount Sinai or Jackson for emergency mental health care, shelter placements, and they're back out on the street. It for many of the homeless out there that's chronically homeless, that's 1 year or longer on the street, it will take that hope, compassion, constant engagement, never giving up on them. That's our motto. That's my motto. A lot of times we may place an individual into shelter 10 times, maybe into treatment two, three, four times, but we will never give up on that individual. That individual is suffering with a mental disability. That individual have been through some trauma, some traumatic experiences in their life. It's not their fault, and that's what we do. We never give up. We never give up on anybody, and it's individuals. We've helped so many families get off the streets.
You, man, Mr. Hall, well, King Hall, all this work that you're doing, honestly, um, it's not enough I can say about it. And I want to say thank you,
Thank you.
because it's people like you that help make our communities better. People who are on the front line. So I want to thank you for sharing your story, for sharing what you do in the community, and the importance of it. Because, like you said, right now with the pandemic, there's so many people who are experiencing financial difficulties.
That's right.
Mental health is on a uptick. So many people are seeking therapy or having breaks,
That's
and
right.
that can lead to homelessness. There are so many factors that go into it, and so the work that you're doing with the police department is very commendable. And I thank you for taking time to speak with Hilo News and sharing your story. How can people connect with you if they want to support what you're doing with the Miami Beach Police or the Homeless Trust? Like, what can people do? How can they connect?
Um, the Homeless Trust, their number is 305-374 10 1065. And also, you can get onto the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust website, and you would be able to see a whole um, bunch of information on how you can get involved um, with me. You can contact me directly. I'll give you my contact number. It's 305-928-9442. Give me a call.
Man, thank you, Bo Hall. I appreciate you again for joining us on Hilo News. This was a great conversation. Please don't be a stranger. If there's something new, something you want me to get out to the community about the work that you're doing around homelessness on City of Miami Beach or Miami-Dade County, please come back. You are a new friend of the show. I
Thank you.
appreciate you, brother.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Y'all, this was a great conversation. Again, the Homeless Trust does a lot of work in the community. If you want to know what's going on, how you could get involved to support the work that people like Mr. Bohall is doing, connect with the Homeless Trust, homelesstrust.org. They have a quiz there where you can see what your homelessness IQ is, so you can see how you can be more involved. Yeah, that was a good conversation. That brother got a story. He got a testimony right there. That was good stuff. As always, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and LinkedIn. We're everywhere. Sign up for our newsletter on HiloNewsMiami.com. As always, thank you for joining me for these in-depth, these personal conversations from people in our community doing dope things. I'm happy that you're rocking with us all 2021 and beyond. Again, this is another episode of High Low News. Thank y'all for joining us.